Hello students. Today we are going to talk about weathering and mass wasting. That is the second chapter. And before I start with weathering, we are going to learn something about rocks because there is a link between weathering and rocks and a little bit introduction of what exactly it means. So here they've given a diagram wherein they've said that you have to study the diagram and answer the following questions. They've spoken about the types of rocks, the arrangement of rocks, and the different kinds of rocks like igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. And I'm sure that you all have learned it in your previous classes. So there are three types of rocks which are found on Earth. And what is a rock, we will learn that. We'll learn more about that. Before that, we'll just get an introduction as to uh, what do we know about the biosphere and how is the structure of the earth. So a little more introduction on that. Now look at this biosphere. We all know that earth is the only planet which can support life. So the Earth's surface is surrounded by air, which is made up of various gases, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and other gases, oxygen, all of that, and its atmosphere. That layer is atmosphere. This is the uppermost layer of the Earth, which where it supports life. Now, life exists actually in this biosphere. The biosphere comprises of the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. Now, what are these components? Now, I'm going to talk about these in general and just give you all a brief of what we are going to learn and how we're going to proceed from knowing the biosphere to the structure of the earth, the types of rocks, and then we'll move on to weathering. These components, what you'll see in the figure, the earth together, these components of the earth together sustain life basically. Now, the zone inhabited by all the living beings contains all that is necessary for these life forms to sustain, that is, air, water, and soil. A very important element or part of biosphere is the lithosphere or rock sphere. This outer layer has been changing over millions of years, both by internal and external forces. We learned in the previous lessons what are the internal forces or the internal movements, the external forces, the external movements. Internal forces are those forces which cause mountains. I repeat, internal forces are those forces which cause mountains to rise, volcanoes to spew out molten lava, throw out. Spew is throwing out molten lava, and earthquakes and cause destruction. Now, what are the external forces on the other hand? The external forces, on the other hand, are those which are responsible for changing the surface by agents such as flowing rivers. We know these are the agents which change the course. The rivers flowing, the blowing wind, moving ice, and splashing seas, if you see. These forces not only wear away the water surface but also remodel the surface. Now, because of this, we know because of all these forces, the surface of the earth is continuously changing due to many internal and external forces. These are the major causes for the conversion of many natural resources in such forms that can be actually of economic significance for humans. So now this chapter we are going to focus on a little bit on rocks, and then we'll move out to those weathering and the different types of weathering. Here what we're going to understand next is, like, let's understand, this is another picture what I said. The biosphere comprises of the atmosphere, that is the air, the hydrosphere, that is the water, and the lithosphere, that is the earth. All three in combination make up for the biosphere, and the previous picture showed ecosphere also. Now look at the layers of the earth. This is a very common example or diagram which you all have been taught from the beginning, layers of the earth. Now look at this layers of the earth. Through the layers of the earth and the structure of the earth, we are going to understand how rocks are formed and how rocks play a major role in weathering. This is the inner core, which is the extreme inside white part, the outer core, the mantle, and the crust. Now, this is another diagram which you all can see, and the different spheres what you all can see in this: the inner core, outer core, lower mantle, upper mantle, and the crust. Now here we've seen the first layer is the troposphere, which is closer on the Earth's surface, stratosphere, then the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and the exosphere. Each of these spheres have their own relevance and their own importance. This gives us some detail about the structure of the Earth. Now what is it giving us? Information like this is the crust. The thickness varies from 3 to 5 miles under the oceans. It consists mostly of granite and silicate rocks. The mantle, it consists of the ultramafic silicates. The core consists of iron, nickel, and sulfur. The outer core is liquid phase. The inner core is rigid. Then the lower mantle is more rigid than the atmosphere, probably due to great pressure. Then we have asthenosphere, that is partially molten or deforms fluid like plastic under pressure. The lithosphere is the land, rigid crust, and the upper mantle, that is called the upper mantle. Now if you look at this oceans, what they've shown in the blue line, the top surface, that's 14,000 feet. This is a more detailed diagram speaking a lot about each of these technical terms which describe the structure of the earth. Now over here when we see the diagram, if I show you all here, the outer surface of the earth is known as the crust or the lithosphere. We look at this. Okay, the outer crust, if you can see, it is the lithosphere. It is a solid and rigid layer of the planet, and this section includes the crust. Look to the left side of the diagram. You will see that this consists of the crust and the upper part of the mantle. This continental crust is made up of variety of rocks. Rocks are the solid materials forming part of the surface of the earth. This I'm going to define more exact definition of rocks and different types. I will definitely tell and discuss about those. They are naturally formed mixture of common minerals. Now these rocks are naturally formed through these common minerals. They make up most of the lithosphere. These rocks basically make up most of the lithosphere. Now if you look at the structure of the earth, these rocks basically contribute more on the lithosphere. They are of great economic importance also, as minerals can be extracted. Now different minerals we have learned in due course from in our school times, as well as now also we have learned a lot of we've known the importance of minerals. So minerals can be extracted from them, which are used in every aspect of our daily life. Then some rocks, if you'll see, they contain large quantities of a metal. A naturally occurring solid mineral from which a metal can be extracted profitably is called an ore. I repeat, students, understand these certain small terms, because I wouldn't want to jump onto directly onto a lesson and go through with it without understanding the small nitty-gritties of certain things. So I repeat here, a naturally occurring solid mineral, from which a metal can be extracted, a metal can be removed, is called an ore. That is an iron ore. Now here, simple definition of rocks. What is a rock? It is naturally occurring mixture of, it is a mixture of minerals, mineraloids, glass, or organic matter. So simple definition is this. It is a naturally occurring mixture of mineraloids, glass, or organic matter. Now, here we are going to study the types of rocks. They are grouped into three categories based on which how they are formed and depending upon their origin. So that is the igneous, the sedimentary and metamorphic. We'll take one by one and try to understand. This is a warm up about a rock, about the different types of rocks, or it's a quick revision as you may say so. Now look at this rock cycle. Now this rock cycle also is very important. If you look at it, it begins there where through the igneous rocks, from the igneous rocks, this weathering and erosion takes place, sedimentation, then it goes to the sedimentary rock. Here in before it's transformed, there's a process called lithification taking place. Then metamorphic, so it's called metamorphism is uh, taken place. Now, a rock is composed of grains of one or more minerals. What does this rock cycle show basically? The rock cycle shows how one type of rocky material is transformed into another. Now, when we had a separate chapter named rocks, in which we learned that how igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks turn into metamorphic rocks, and how there's a chain which leads to these rock formations. So say same over here, it's like metamorphic. Then what happens over here is like the rock in the mantle, the partial melting they've shown through the magma. Then how does it solidify? All these processes. That's why this rock cycle is very important where when we talk about these rocks. Now let's learn about the first type of rocks, that is the igneous. First we'll understand about the rock cycle and plate tectonics, then I'll go to the igneous rocks. Over here if you look at the diagram, the magma is created by melting above a subduction zone. Less dense magma rises and cools to form igneous rocks. I have already described what a magma is. Now how does the rock cycle work? First the magma gets created, then this less dense magma cools down to form which type of rock first? Igneous rocks. Then these igneous rocks they get exposed at surface and get weathered into sediments. See, weathering takes place, students. That's why I'm started off with rocks, types of rocks, a brief up, and then we'll go to weathering. Over here, igneous rocks exposed at surface gets weathered into sediment. Sediments transported to low areas, buried and hardened. Now these sediments actually they get buried underneath and they hardened also, and they form layered rocks, that those are called sedimentary rocks or stratas are formed. Now later as the process moves on, what happens? These sedimentary rocks get heated and squeezed at depth to form metamorphic rocks. So what does this rock cycle tell us? That magma is created. Due to the magma, igneous rocks is formed. Then when these igneous rocks are exposed or they are due to different types of weathering or different conditions, they form these strata layers and into sediments, and they're transported to low areas. They get hardened and they turn into sedimentary rocks. Then when these sedimentary rocks are further heated, they get further heated and squeezed deep down. At depth means deep down. They form metamorphic rocks. Let's understand the first type of rocks, igneous rocks. Now the word igneous over here means fire. Now this will help us remember how they are formed. It's a simple term which we can use to recollect as which rocks relates to fire. These are rocks that are formed from magma. So the rocks which are formed from magma are igneous rocks that has cooled and hardened. Over here in this picture what you can see is over here the volcano erupts and lava spills out onto the earth. First of all, we know the volcanoes, what are volcanoes, the different, the causes, the effects, all I have discussed in the previous chapter. When a volcano erupts and lava spills out onto the earth, lava cools and hardens as the time passes. Okay. Then you can see different types of igneous rocks are formed. Here magma is molten rock. Magma means molten rock. Igneous rocks form when magma cools and solidifies. Solidifies over here means it hardens. Then they are talking about there are two types of uh, rocks over here on the basis of this. They are categorized into intrusive and extrusive. Now, basically, igneous, igni. This igneous rocks. One more thing I wanted to tell you all was this igneous has been derived from the Latin word called ignis, meaning fire. So the origin of these rocks is from upwelling magma as it cools and solidifies. We've already learned that it comes out from the magma and it solidifies. In fact, this cooling takes place either inside the earth or on the surface. So they are categorized into intrusive and extrusive. Now, what is intrusive? Intrusive, these igneous rocks form when magma solidifies underground. Intrusive is inside, so it's underground, which is a common example. If you look at the picture, the first picture is of granite. Granite is a common example. Now, if you look at intrusive rocks, they are those which have cooled within the crust, if I can say so. They've cooled within the crust inside slowly under great pressure. So, therefore, they are large grained also. You can see basalt also now. Basalt is extrusive igneous rock. Now, more information about igneous rocks I can tell you all is igneous rocks are also called as primary or parent rocks. Now, why are these igneous rocks called primary or parent rocks? Because they basically begin the rock cycle, which I have already told you all that they begin the rock cycle. So, first of all, that's one of the points which we can talk about, that they begin the rock cycle. So, they are known as primary or parent rocks, and basically, they are created from the cooling of the molten magma. All other rocks are derived from them. See, understand, students, all the sedimentary and the other rocks are derived from them because they form the basis, of formation of other types of rocks. They are also considered as primary or parent rocks. So this is one more thing which I would wanted to tell you all. And another thing about igneous rocks or intrusive rocks, sorry, in particular intrusive rocks, they are also called plutonic rocks. Now, why are they called plutonic rocks? Basically, they are called plutonic rocks after Pluto. Who was Pluto? He was a Greek god of the underworld. And that is the reason they are also called plutonic rocks. Next, we are going to study about is extrusive igneous rocks. The second classification is extrusive igneous rocks. Extrusive igneous rocks are those rocks which have cooled on or outside the surface. How? By rapid cooling with the outpouring lava meeting the air outside. Now, here over here in extrusive igneous rocks, there are no crystals formed. Okay. Example, basalt. Now, they form when the magma solidifies at the Earth's surface. That's on the outside. So, which is a common example of extrusive igneous rocks? That is basalt. So, what here we were studying about was basically we were trying to understand what are igneous rocks. They are also called primary rocks or parent rocks. And why are they called? Because they depend on the rock cycle. They are created also, the other rocks are derived from igneous rocks. Now, igneous rocks are classified into two types, which I told you all. Intrusive rocks, which I gave you all information, they are called plutonic rocks because it is named after Pluto, the Greek god. And over here, extrusive rocks, they are known as volcanic rocks, students. Extrusive rocks are known as volcanic rocks. They are named after the Greek god called Vulcan, Greek god of fire. Vulcan, the Greek god of fire. Over here, what happens is generally igneous rocks, if you have to identify and differentiate, igneous rocks, to add on to that, they are hard, basically, they are compact, they're very compact, and they are resistant to erosion. They are resistant to erosion. They do not contain any organic matter or fossils. Now, which kind of rock doesn't contain any organic matter or fossils? That is igneous rocks. So, this is something what we need to understand. How are igneous rocks created? Now, here we need to know how they are created. Simple igneous rocks are created inside the volcano. Magma, molten. Inside the volcano, there is section where all types of rocks are created. Example, metamorphic, sedimentary, etc. So they are created in the volcano. That's why when the magma, it's related to the magma, it's known as primary, parent, I repeat, rock, because it plays a very important role. All the other rocks are derived. Sedimentary and metamorphic rocks are derived from the parent primary rock, that is called the igneous rock. What I spoke to you all about over here also, I spoke to you all about the biosphere. I explained to you all that what biosphere consists of: the atmosphere, the lithosphere. Then we progressed and we moved further to know the structure of the earth. While studying the structure of the earth, the rocks play a pivotal role in weathering. That's why these rocks, they are in the part of the lithosphere. And the lithosphere we are talking about now. In lithosphere, we are talking about rocks and the different types of rocks. Now look at these examples of extrusive igneous rocks. What are the examples of extrusive igneous rocks over here? Obsidian. Now if the cooling is instantaneous, a glassy texture may form. This is a different kind of rock where a glassy texture can be seen. Pumice. If gas bubbles are trapped as the lava rapidly cools, a vesicular texture may appear. You'll have seen this commonly, pumic stones. So this is an example where gas bubbles are trapped as the lava rapidly cools, a vesicular texture may occur. Now what is basalt? It is a fine grained, dark colored, extrusive igneous rocks. This is a common example of extrusive igneous rocks. It is very finely grained, it is very dark, and it's an example of extrusive igneous rocks. Last but not the least, this is intrusive igneous rocks. Now, intrusive igneous rocks, the slope, the quartz, if you see, and the granite, the gabbro, the slow cooling process creates large crystals. If you all see, they have large crystals over here, and they appear coarse grained. They appear basically coarse grained. So these are some examples of intrusive igneous rocks. Now students, from here we are going to move on to, I'm going to give a brief introduction about sedimentary and metamorphic rocks, and we'll be discussing about a little bit of that, and then I will move on to weathering. So coming on to this first page of where this example is given, I'll just read it out to you all, that what exactly, I hope you all have understood basically what are they trying to tell us. Igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic rocks are the three types of rocks found on the earth. Igneous rocks are formed from lava which has come from eruptions on the earth's surface. This I told you all, I explained it to you all, it's through magma. Therefore, the first rocks formed on the earth's surface, they are the first rocks which are formed on the earth's surface. Sedimentary and metamorphic rocks are derived. I explained all and I covered this. As we have seen, when rocks in figure 2.1, when rocks break into small pieces, they are carried away from one place to another. In these sediments, organic materials also get mixed. Now over here, due to sorry, various reasons, there's some kind of erosion happening, or these pieces are carried away. Over here, sediments and organic materials also get mixed. When layers of sediments deposit on each other, immense pressure acts on them. As a result, when there's a lot of pressure which is playing on them, sedimentary rocks are formed. As I told you all about this when I spoke about sedimentary. Sedimentary is basically this here. Sediments transport igneous rocks exposed at surface gets weathered into. That's why I told you all about the rock cycle, how the rock cycle plays a pivotal role in formation of different kinds of rocks. Then I also had spoken about metamorphic over here, when they get heated and squeezed. That's what they're telling us in the first page. As a result, and also because of the cementing material, sedimentary rocks are formed. Metamorphic rocks are formed when igneous and sedimentary rocks are subjected to immense heat and pressure. So when is metamorphic rock formed? When there is immense pressure of when there is immense heat and pressure on igneous and sedimentary rocks. Now igneous and sedimentary and metamorphic rocks, I'm going to talk about it a little more. How can rocks break? Rocks which are exposed are affected by the climate of the region. Now, rocks basically also get exposed to certain things, so they can also be uh, they are exposed, and they can also be affected by the climate of that region. Rock can break because of water. Understand this: rock can break because of water, pressure, heat. All these are natural occurring things in various different ways. Those rocks which have joints or layers break easily than rocks which are homogeneous. Generally, sedimentary rocks break easily than igneous rocks. Generally, sedimentary rocks break easily than igneous rocks. So this is like this is what I've explained to you all about igneous rocks, biosphere. How does the structure of structure of the earth, on which section of the structure of the earth are these rocks more important, and how they play an important role in the lesson what we are going to learn, that is weathering and mass wasting.